Buyer's closing costs and how much do they cost. I'm going to talk about what it costs to buy a house and what are the closing costs. And I'm going to take an example, assuming you're living in Anaheim Hills, because I live and work in Anaheim Hills. I'm Mike Patel, by the way. So here's an example I'm going to give you today, assuming that the house is $1 million and the buyer is putting 20% down. And we're going to break it down into three costs. One is a down payment, which technically is not a cost, but it's something that you have to come up front when you close escrow, which could be 3%, 5% down, or 20% down or more. In this case, we're going to use 20% down, so you're going to have to come up with $200,000 as a closing cost, but like I said, it's not truly a cost. So what are the true costs when you get a loan or when you buy a house? Well, there's two kinds of costs. One is the hard cost and one is the prepaid cost. Prepaids are your property tax and your insurance, which we will talk about towards the end. So let's look at the hard cost. One of the most common costs, at least in California, is your escrow fees. In this case, we have an escrow settlement fee of $2,000 on $1 million house. And escrow fees, as you may know, is a fees you pay to a third party where the buyer puts a deposit, seller puts all the documents, and all the paperwork is done by an escrow company to make sure it's done in a timely fashion and all the forms are filed to the right parties, including recording fees, county fees, payoff fees, and all that. So the escrow takes care of that. So there's an average cost about $2,000 in this example, but escrow fees are standard fees and they are usually a percentage of your purchase price. So they vary from escrow to escrow. The second fees and the most common fees is the title fees and recording fees. Lenders require that you have a title insurance. This is also a negotiable item. You can ask the seller to pay or you can end up paying there. So when there's a title fees, you have a recording fees, e-recording fees, documentation fees, and title insurance. And that in this example is coming out at about $1,200 for $1 million purchase. Thanks for watching, by the way. I'm going to talk about the lender fees in detail, but before I do that, I wanted to thank you for watching and also request you to subscribe to my channel. I come out with videos every Thursday, different varieties. And also I just did a video last week on what are the seller's closing costs. I will have a link at the end of this video, so please look out for it. So let's talk about miscellaneous fees before I go to lender fees. There are other miscellaneous fees and they all add up. They are $200 here, $300 here, and they add up. Also, by the way, just to let you know, in general, a rule of thumb, most closing cost, and I don't know how this works out, but usually the closing cost for buyer side ends up at about 2.35% of the purchase price. So I always say your cost anywhere from 2% to 3% depending on when you buy, what time of the year, and who you are using for your escrow and title and lender fees. So let's talk about the miscellaneous fees, which add up. Miscellaneous fees can be like notary signing fees. When you sign your loan documents, the notary comes over at your house or at your business or even at escrow and they charge you fees anywhere from $50 to $300. If you have an association, there's association transfer fees and documentation fees. They can add up anywhere from $100 to $500. There are home warranty fees. If your seller does not pay, which they typically do, but these days in this market, is seller's market, they're not paying a lot of things. So that can be anywhere from $400 to up to $1,000 depending on what you have. You have a pool or a jacuzzi or whatever. There's FedEx fees and courier fees. There's a sub-escrow fees. So all these add up. So just be aware that there's a lot of fees. So let's talk about the lender fees, which is one of the most negotiable item and it's also one of the most cost in the closing cost. So lender fees are several fees together. In this example, I'm going to use that the lender is charging you 1 point or 1%. So on an $800,000 loan, your fees just to use the lenders is $8,000. Of course, this is a negotiable item, whether you're using an online lender or mortgage broker or an individual lender working for a bank. All these fees are variable, but pretty standards are 1 point or half a point. In this example is $8,000. The other fees are processing fees, which the lenders charge. This could be anywhere from $500 to $800 or more. Again, it's negotiable. The other fees are processing fees and underwriting fees, which again is anywhere from $500 to $800 or more, especially for this example for $1 million house. The other fees that the banks require is your appraisal fees. Average is about $600 again. So as you can see in this example, on an $800,000 loan, the lender fees is about $10,000. So it adds up. It's quite a bit. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to continue talking about the prepaid costs now. These are costs that you are prepaying. So it is an expense, but it's something that you're prepaying ahead because it's required by the lender and also because our government, our Orange County recorders. So there's two prepaid costs that I'm going to talk about. One is your property tax. The property tax in Orange County is 1.1%, and the requirement is anywhere from 3 months up to 9 months where you have to prepay depending on what time of the year you're closing your escrow, whether it's March or June or November, because property taxes are due twice a year, so it all depends when you're closing your escrow. And they can add up. In this example, they are paying 8 months of property tax, which amounts to almost $8,000 in prepaids. The second cost that we talk about is your insurance. The lenders require that you pay 1 year insurance ahead of time, and a lot of them require 3 months of reserves on top of the 12 months. So in this example, for 15 months, the prepaid and impounds is $5,000. So as you can see, the costs really add up. In this example, you have a total closing cost of escrows and title fees and underwriting fees, credit report of almost $15,000. And then you have the prepaids cost of almost $15,000, which is almost $30,000, which is quite a bit, which came out to about 3% in this example. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please make comments below, or you can even feel free to call me directly if you're looking to buy or sell or have any specific questions. Thanks again.